Racing to the 2020 Belmont Stakes, Big Sandy on June 20th. Let's take a look at today at some of the speed figure development of some of the Belmont Stakes contenders for 2020. And one of the way I like to look at speed figures as you kind of project forward, because remember, when you have horses that have raced less than 7 or 8 times, you can see noticeable jumps in speed figures. And a lot of times what you want to do if you're a speed handicapper and you're analyzing that into the odds and some of the horses you want to play as your contenders, outside contenders, as your B and C contenders on pick 3s and pick 4s, you really want to take a look at the horse that you might think can jump up in a Brisnet speed figure or a Beyer speed figure, or maybe their number is a little bit hidden from a trip that wasn't maybe the best for their performance. So what we're going to see here is you see the columns going across the top is their career start number. So for example, Charlatan debuted with a 101 Brisnet speed figure. Then in his second lifetime race, he picked up a 105. And then in his third, he regressed just slightly, but that was going a longer distance at a new surface. So a 102 stretching out and shipping in its third lifetime start is actually a pretty compact regression. He's sitting on a move forward the way I analyze a speed figure. And then you've got a horse like Nadal, who kind of has consolidated a lot of his Brisnet speed figure gains. He debuted with a 94, but it was in hand. Visually looked better than that. I think a lot of people knew he could run faster than that. Then he came back with a 96 under a little bit of pressure in the San Vicente, and then kind of drew off the last time out in a 102. So him and Charlatan have matching speed figures. I think most people are probably going to project both of them to improve off that 102. In contrast, you've got a horse like Tiz the Law, the Florida Derby winner, 4 for 5 lifetime. Now the difference with him, he ran earlier as a 2-year-old. So one of the things you have to factor in is the time of year that they make their first career start. Horses that race as 2-year-olds are always going to have debut speed figures a little bit lower, especially if they start to do them in July and August. And then really trying to compare those type of horses who debut in January and February, that's one of the considerations. So when Tiz the Law has a 97 as a 2-year-old for that time of the year, that's the equivalent of debuting with about a 103 or a 104 for Charlatan. So that was a very high speed figure in his debut win. And then he kind of regressed a little bit in that second start, 93 on the clock, but he did pick up the win. Then he picked up that nice 108, and then he regressed a little bit while winning in the Florida Derby. So again, he's another one who kind of had that jump from the 89 to a 108 and then regressed back. He's another one that could probably, you could anticipate maybe a 104 or 105 Brisnet speed figure in a race like the Belmont Stakes coming up in a month, especially if they continue to work well and you hear of no major interruptions in their schedule. So it's always interesting to take a look. And then when you start to look at that, you see a horse like Gouverneur Morris, 94, 95, 94, 92. He's kind of plateauing out. 4 straight starts with speed figures within 2 points. Still possible for a jump up, but going 1 1/8 miles against horses that have already beaten him, you're going to have to probably expect a better trip, or maybe the other horses to regress to really try to get Gouverneur Morris to beat a horse like Charlatan and Tiz the Law and Nadal. So again, I think a lot of times people talk about speed figures, but it's not how fast they run, it's how they run fast, the pace scenarios, what career start they're in of their development pattern. That's how you want to take a look at speed figures and try to project a horse that you think can run a better speed figure. Because if you're just going to bet based on their last race, well then this exercise is over. You just bet on Charlatan and Nadal and you do a 2-horse exacta box, they got a 102, or you throw in Sol Volante and you just kind of stop there and don't really try to project forward. If you really want to try to hone your craft and really factor in some other factors, you want to factor in trip, development, pace, and other things like that, recent workouts, that'll get you to project that speed figure. That'll help you to not pick the favorite in every single race. What about you? Do you think Charlatan or Nadal ran the better Arkansas Derby? Who do you think can project the biggest improvement? Leave a comment below, hit subscribe, and remember, we're leading you up to the 2020 Kentucky Derby.